Hello, everyone. So, I hope you really liked our last discussion on vitamin B12 and the role of microbiome in absorption of vitamin B12. Right. So today let's discuss about cost of healthcare. Right? So essentially we have seen over last few years number of apps, health tech companies, have been coming up claiming they are offering affordable healthcare solutions, right? And what do you really mean by affordable healthcare solutions? So essentially, a lot of these companies, nutritionists, dietitians, doctors, other healthcare practitioners are just focused on managing your diseases, right? So essentially, none of them knows what is making you develop a particular disease, right? They just know that, okay, I'm going to give him some medicine, some supplements, some prebiotics, probiotics, some tests, probably to defer the occurrence of disease or maybe, manage the disease, right? So essentially, we should be asking the question: why do we have these diseases, right? And you may not realize that how much money you end up paying for managing these diseases. So today I'm going to take example of two diseases here. So one is uh, chronic kidney disease, which is again 13.4% of the world population have this carry this metabolic disorder, which is which directly impacts our kidney functioning, right? And if you see the cost of managing chronic kidney disease, uh, someone who is at early stage renal disease would be somewhere around 8 to 10,000 rupees on various drugs, iron supplements, vitamin D supplements, calcium supplements, right? Then people who are at the advanced stage may end up spending upward of 30,000 rupees only on dialysis. And if when you are in dialysis, you are on dialysis, you have to do that for your life, right? And that's what we have been given to believe. We don't know why it has happened, so probably we can just manage the disease, right? And second disease, we all know, we have been hearing, we have seen, tons of startups coming saying we are reversing type 2 diabetes. We can manage type 2 diabetes, we can reduce your HbA1c levels, and we generally fall for them, right? So essentially, if you see what is the cost of managing type 2 diabetes, even if you are not on medicine, right, still you're going for tests, you're going for insulin, you are going for fat diets, so you end up paying maybe 6 7,000 rupees a month, right? And if you have medicine, it is much more than that, so essentially, you spend in a range of 7 to 10,000 rupees a month on managing your diabetes, whether you're paying to nutritionists for some diet, or you're paying to these health tech startups which are saying that we are reversing HbA1c level based on some consultation, some sessions, some diets, so if you see the lifetime cost of managing these diseases, it would vary from 40 lakhs to 60 lakhs, depending upon, assuming you're going to live for next 30 40 years, right? But the question is, we should not be asking what we need to do to manage these diseases, but we should be knowing why we develop these diseases. As during our school time, we used to ask, why sky is blue, why do I dream, why do it rain? So essentially you should start asking questions, why do we develop these diseases, right? So essentially, and again, some people would counter and ask, okay, I'm getting my blood works, I'm getting my diagnostic test done, I can actually, based on that, I can structure a diet, and I can help people overcome or manage these diseases. Again, there are issues in the blood works, right? So I personally know, because I have worked in diagnostic space way back 6 7 years back, right? So I know for sure what happens is, from the time do you give the sample to the time it is processed, there are 150 different steps, right? The way sample is taken, the way sample is processed, the way sample is stored, the way sample is transported, at what temperature it is stored, at what temperature it is transported, what technology is being used, how it is shaken. So there are a number of these steps. Any step goes wrong, your report goes wrong, right? So essentially, if you go to 3 different labs, you'll have 3 different results, right? And the variability of these diagnostic tests is as high as 50%, even if you go to NABL accredited labs, right? So essentially, even if you have the right results, you don't know what is making you develop a symptom, right? So symptoms manifest differently in different individuals. So essentially, we have to go back and understand why we develop this disease. And if you go back, even when 4.58 billion years ago, even Earth was formed, and there was life on Earth, there was life on Earth. So essentially, every single species, including human, including planet, have had one common ancestry, right? And before we before humans were humans, bees were bees, coral reef, bacteria or bacteria, we were a part of a common life tree, right? And there was a singular microbe called, Luca, which is last universal common ancestor, right? And over a period of time, we actually uh, have evolved into various organisms, and every organism has a role to play. And similarly, these bacteria and fungi and yeast and viruses, which used to live on Earth, have found a heaven place inside our body, and they drive a lot of biological processes inside our body, right? We really need to understand, what is making us disease, right? Making us develop a disease, so essentially, a lot of these depends upon what these trillions of bacteria and viruses and fungi and yeast is doing inside your body, right? So just by going to doctor, having some fat diets, having some medicines, you know having some tests, or maybe going for dialysis, or going for antibiotics, probiotics, prebiotics, it is really not going to help. You are just going to uh, uh, make others, healthcare practitioners, rich, just by allowing them to just manage and suppress your symptoms, right? So essentially, you really need to understand how these microbes, impact your health. So you may disagree. Oh, my genes is bad. I have a bad genes. It is genetic. So there's nothing called genetics from 5%. Rare genetic disorders. So because your genes doesn't change from the time you're born to the time you die, right? So it remains the same. So essentially, even if it remains the same, so how your genes could be responsible for making you develop disease? For instance, if you have obesity, your genes doesn't change. When you are obese or when you are lean, your genes are same, right? So essentially, do not blame your genes, right? And if you talk of genes, your human body has 25,000 genes. We humans have, we microbes produce around 25 million genes. So essentially, if you are even taking decision based on your human DNA testing, you're just addressing 1% of your genetic profile, right? So essentially, for instance, let me give this example of, uh, these two diseases which I mentioned. So chronic kidney disease, right? So a lot of so there have been research around it, both on clinical side and both on animal studies, which establish a connection between your microbes living in your large intestine, your gut, and development of you know chronic kidney disease, right? So essentially, there are certain microbial derived metabolites and toxins such as LPS, TMA, again, certain metabolites such as uh, indoxyl sulfate, which is in outcome of metabolism of tryptophan, right? Which is again essentially amino acids. And then precresol, phenylacetyl right? So there are a number of such metabolites which actually comes from the end result of metabolism of various amino acids, right? Which directly impact kidney functioning, right? So essentially, we really need to understand what is happening inside our body, what is going on, right? At really deep molecular and cellular level. And earlier it was not possible. Earlier, the cost of understanding your microbes, your body functioning, was at a molecular and cellular level, how your cells are operating, how different molecules are being produced or compounds are being produced, right? Was very costly. So if you see 5 years back, it was as high as maybe $5,000, right? Or $10,000, right? So again, now, because of technology, because of a lot of clinical studies and awareness, the costs have substantially gone down, right? So essentially, what you really need to measure your biology at a molecular level. Do not go for fat diets. No one can tell you what you should eat, what should you shouldn't, unless they digitally scan your body. They understand what molecular interactions are taking place inside your body. How various foods you're eating are going to metabolize by your microbiome and what they are going to convert into, right? So this is the core of nutrition. So essentially, whatever you eat is just a combination of bioactive molecules, how those molecules are actually metabolized and by your microbiome converted into various byproducts. These byproducts is what makes you develop a disease or give you nutrients, right? So do not fall for these, and just evaluate the cost of your healthcare, what you are currently doing. Even if you're paying 2000 rupees a month, it is not going to help you, because you're not going to reverse your disease. Dude, so any companies who are saying I'm reversing type 2 diabetes, please do ask a scientific evidence behind it. Is there a research paper? If there is a research paper, what was the sample size? What kind of analysis they have derived? How they have arrived at this intervention which they are giving it to you? Is it is proven on maybe 50, 60, 100, 200, 300 clients, right? So these are the questions you should be asking. Uh, do not assume it's just a small amount of money of 4,000, 5,000 bucks in a month. You see the lifetime cost, it is going to much more, and it is not going to help you, right? So essentially, time has come to actually understand what is happening inside the body, what is going on, right? Rather than just believing what others are saying based on some blood tests, some reports, right? It is not going to help. So if you really want to interested in knowing, getting a digital footprint of your body, do reach out to us. So we are the first company in India which sequence your gut and vaginal microbiome to understand what is going on inside your body at a molecular level. We measure your biology at a molecular level, right? We determine what is making you move towards or away from a disease, and what sort of interventions are required to actually regulate your biology, right? So stay tuned. We'll be bringing with more content, next few days, the next few days. Thanks a lot.